Well, let's dive in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's awesome to see attendees from around the world joining us today. Welcome to our fall keynote, centered around supercharging your automation with GenAI, ACCELQ's most anticipated announcement of the year. Now, before I give intros, a quick 2024 recap and pass this over to Guljeet, ACCELQ's Chief Product Officer. Please scan the QR code, take one quick question, poll, and you'll be entered in a raffle to win a cool prize after this keynote. So while you're pulling out your phone and scanning, a little bit about me. I'm Xander. Sometimes I can make a decent contact with a golf ball. I'm a proud girl dad, an ACCELQ fanboy, but most importantly, I'm proud to be your moderator today. Now, to kickstart the keynote, it's important to bring everybody up to speed on what happened this year behind the scenes at ACCELQ. Our engineering team has been working around the clock to bring you something not seen in any other end-to-end test automation platform on the market until now. ACCELQ's end-of-year release combines cutting-edge GenAI technology with the powerful capabilities of GPT. This exclusive innovation is set to redefine your approach across end-to-end testing while delivering lightning-fast results through autonomous automation. Now, this year has already been a massive success across every team and project, and we aren't done yet. Some of the highlights include solving one of the biggest pain points in automation, element object handling. This has caused so much disruption over the years with flaky tests and technical debt, especially with fast releases and changes in your UI tech. Our solution, we call it Locator Free. It's a crowning release that started 2024 off strong and still remains one of the industry's biggest head turners. This release was touted as one of the most powerful innovations in the space, and you'll exclusively find this at ACCELQ. Now, without giving away too much, imagine what you could do if GenAI was natively embedded. I won't go through everything here, but as your business process and user journeys become omni-channel, ACCELQ is proud to be at the forefront, bringing you that patent, battle-tested end-to-end testing functionality, all under one easy-to-use automation platform. Releases like Electron apps, network testing, virtualization continue to be a testament to our commitment across a true and complete platform approach to automation. Now, our onboarding specialists and customer success teams have never been busier. This year, we've had the pleasure of adding multiple new customers every week. Some notable additions to the ACCELQ family who consistently use, trust, and believe in the trajectory of our platform include NVIDIA, who needs no introduction, passed Apple this week with a market cap of $3.6 trillion and now stands as the world's most valuable company. Deckers, the parent company to UGG, Hoka, and many more global brands with products sold in over 50 countries. MasterCard, the second largest payment network on the globe and one of the top 10 brands in the US. Atlassian, a software powerhouse headquartered down under with 5,700 apps in their marketplace and over 300,000 customers. And Department of State, the backbone of the United States government. The DOS is an administrative arm of the executive branch handling foreign policy and international relations. And the list doesn't end there, right? ACCELQ is proud to support over 10,000 users, making up our ever-expanding customer base of more than 500 organizations spread across 6 different continents. Now, before I get this over to Guljeet, I couldn't help but share some very exciting news. ACCELQ has been recognized as G2's fall leader across multiple categories in the test automation vertical. This includes automation and software testing, continuous integration, mobile app testing, and DevOps. We owe these achievements to our loyal global customer base, and there is no world where we could have done this without you. Thank you to your invaluable feedback and unwavering trust over these 10 years. And when we see all of you at many of the conferences next year, find us and we'll cheers to the next 10. And now I am thrilled to introduce your keynote speaker, Guljeet Nagpal, ACCELQ's Chief Product Officer. Guljeet is here to guide you through this transformative release and show you how you'll be able to take your end-to-end testing with ACCELQ to the next level with GenAI. Guljeet, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Xander. And thank you, everyone. I echo Xander's sentiment about you know uh, all of you having been part of this exciting journey. And yeah, 2024 certainly seems to be capping up really well. So thanks for setting us up. Before I get into kind of our keynote for this, for this year, the fall keynote, and kind of share about our key topic, Gen AI. I know everyone's pretty juiced up on AI already. So my goal to start out is, to kind of talk about, how can you differentiate between a real AI and something which is kind of misinformation, right? And I know real AI can be a bit of an oxymoron, but let me put it into perspective by sharing a couple quick stories. I'll start very quickly with, and this one goes back in time, maybe in the start of 1835. It was called the Great Moon Hoax. Sir John Herschel, who was, one of the key scientists back in those days, and this was in the age of newspaper, right? Published, had a massive telescope, which was the only one back in those days, and he published a paper saying he saw life on moon, and not just life, it was teeming with life, with bat people and humanoids and strange creatures who look like bison with unicorn horns and what have you, right? And obviously that made quite a stir. Extensive pieces were written in terms of how these look like, and it created kind of a massive stir across the world. And different outlets then started writing about it, even though obviously there was no other factual check on it, right? Similarly, I'm sure this one maybe some of you have heard, not that any one of us is that old, but this one goes back to 1938, in the age of radio, right? And Orson Welles, who was a big broadcaster at the time, started out by saying that this radio show was an adaptation of a very well-known novel by H.G. Wells, The War of the Worlds. Obviously it talked about the Mars invasion, but people conveniently missed that, and rumors spread like wildfire. And New York City was almost under evacuation alert. Squares were full, and people were just, it was mass chaos. Right. And again, similar to the earlier story, different newspapers started writing about it, different radio channels started covering it, even though there was really nothing, because different cities said that now next is our city where these aliens are going to invade. The third one, I'm going to go really fast because I could just want to get to the point, right? And the third one comes, a little bit more recent TV era, which now also seems uh, ancient, right? But in 2009, a boy named Falcon and his family basically told TV and reporters that there was a big balloon which was basically carrying this six-year old child, which accidentally slipped off. Helicopters were deployed. The whole city, the whole nation came together. Everybody followed this story pretty much to its last thing through the day, only to find out there was no boy when it came down. And when they were asked it, they basically said that, oh, we were just trying to get some attention. So, misinformation spreads like wildfire. And whether it be the age of newspaper, radio, TV, and now whether it be the age of a million channels on our fingertips, it's worst, right? It's way above my pay grade to solve that problem, right? But and whichever side of the issue, which all of us are across the whole world, right, across any facet of what we read, one thing we all can agree is it's just hard. It's becoming hard to find what's real and what's not, right? But what I can help, of course, I can't solve that problem, but what I can help is, before I start off with showing you off on what ACCELQ has been up to, what's been brewing in our Gen AI labs, I just want to share how to spot this AI misinformation, right? Whether you guys choose, a lot of you are ACCELQ customers, a lot of you are not. Whether you choose to go with ACCELQ or not, besides the point, right? Let's just look into a framework on what are those red flags, right? What's real, what's something which will actually bring you value versus just kind of, a lot of gimmick out there in terms of what Gen AI can do, right? The first biggest red flag is code generation. It's so easy with, and I'm sure you've experienced it with ChatGPT and, so many others likes of that which have come on board, right? Code generation has become really easy. So if there is a tool out there that tells you that, hey, I can generate code, I would say run the other way, right? Because at the end of the day, what has made you curious about ACCELQ? What has made ACCELQ gain all the, all the things that you see, in terms of where we've come from a tool to platform journey, right? And what has made ACCELQ a leader is because of its strong principles on sustainable automation, right? Um, so code generation, something which will increase your technical debt, which will actually make your automation, more flaky, harder to maintain, and will kind of drag down your ROI, right? Same with, kind of extending on that thought process in terms of not having a design first approach, right? The reason you got interested in ACCELQ was its core allegiance to a design first approach, right? Which is having your automation reusable, having your automation modular, having your automation which can handle real world complexities while not having to kind of, drag your ROI down by the baggage it creates with frameworks, right? So if you have Gen AI that just generate codes and ignores those basic principles of object-oriented programming, like I said, run the other way. That's a big red flag for your AI, right? Inability to handle end-to-end automation, right? If I give you Gen AI, which can generate automation for you, but it can't handle a real end-to-end business process, like Xander was talking about, right? Our commitment to this year's some of the releases he touched on, right? Whether it be virtualization, whether it be, handling Electron app, whether it be handling the old school legacy mainframe to the most modern React JS based, web view based mobile app, right? If it has inability to handle that end-to-end automation, most likely it's going to hurt you more than it'll help, right? Couple more before we keep going, right? Missing reconciliation, right? Generating things is easier right now, right? GPT has evolved already to its version where generating automation is not is the easier battle to win, right? But where it kind of gets hairy and where it gets tricky is if you, and let me kind of compare it to what we use in GPT, right? When you kind of ask GPT something, right? You know how the first answer it comes up with is kind of irrelevant. You have to do a few cycles to kind of make it learn to what you're talking about and let it almost get to the point of where the answer it's generating for you is relevant and which would add value to you, right? So that's reconciliation, which is can it do the cycles, right? Can it become smarter based on your inputs? Because at the end of the day, you want to drive that, right? Can it discover, right? I don't want just an AI which just generate things for me. Can it discover, right? Which means that can it actually do things pretty much ground up without having to give me the input to give me a head start, and then it kind of gives me the runway to take off, right? So that's kind of some of the key things, in terms of the red flags. But what should you look out for, right? So before I show you kind of what we've been brewing, and we may not have reached 100%, right? Just like how we went from our tool to platform, this is going to be a journey, and we want to evolve with kind of how the technology itself is evolving, right? In terms of what do you want to look out for, right? The first thing, like I said, it needs to give you a head start, right? So can it be autonomous from soup to nuts, which means can it learn, discover, design, generate, reconcile, and execute? Of course, it sounds too good to be true, right? But that's kind of, that's what you want to think about when you think of real AI, right? Can it remove your programming overhead? Right? Don't think generation. Can it remove that programming scripting overhead? Right? Can it be we already embarked upon some of these things, and that's kind of what has led us to really leverage the power of Gen AI, right? So can that locator free couple the old and it's already sounding like old school, but can it couple and can it sit on kind of those machine learning and deep learning algorithms? And can Gen AI kind of bring more relevance to bringing element handling even more robust, right? Can it follow the design principles? You're gonna, you always hear me, if you've heard my other presentations, like a broken record on staying true to its true to its design, right? Which is kind of really having that design principles in place so that it doesn't generate too much for you, right? Can it have the data driven, be boosted by that generative AI, right? So that's kind of some of the things you should really look out for to really spot the difference between what's real and what's not. With that, I couldn't be happier to kind of introduce ACCELQ's Autopilot, which is powered by its own proprietary GPT, which is a combination of a lot of technologies which we've been brewing for the past 18 months. And we've tried to stay true to our framework of what we really think real AI is, and secure AI would be, and which kind of can truly bring value to your automation. And to give you kind of a quick view in terms of the 360 approach, which we've always kind of sworn by, right? Which is, we've always said this, right? Automation should not be looked at as script automation, right? And that the differentiator in ACCELQ's platform has always been, can we bring automation to all the life cycle, across the life cycle of the platform, which means going from design to automation to generation to execution, and then reconciling it through the process areas of strategy, planning, change management, and governance, right? So autonomous introduces ACCELQ's Autopilot. Autonomous automation introduces that true discovery, generation, execution, reconciliation, all kind of, from an end-to-end 360 standpoint, which means give it the application where it can really discover and learn and give you a really good head start in generation of what you should really be testing without you even having to give any input, right? The design studio, which we introduced last year, is now Gen AI powered, which basically means that it kind of gives you that further business process, handling, which kind of streamlines your overall creation of your workflow automation, right? The most powerful natural language processing GPT builder, which basically now gives you a GPT prompt, which can convert your automation from from any kind of natural language. And I'll give you a quick sneak peek into it very soon, right? From what you have into any kind of automation, whether it be web, mobile UI, file automation, mainframe automation, desktop automation, what have you, right? Self-healing. Can it, like I was introducing, right? Can it sit on already strong platform of deep learning and machine learning? And can that reconciliation really leverage the power of Gen AI to correlate things, right? And bring them back in that reconciliation cycle, right? So that's kind of the 360 view of what ACCELQ Autopilot's gonna look like. We couldn't be happier to kind of introduce it across that complete life cycle. So if you've known ACCELQ, and if you've not, I would highly recommend to get your hands on it. That's the best way. I mean, to kind of experience what the platform's all about. But if you've kind of known and learned and been a user of ACCELQ, you know kind of the power of scenario designer, the live recorder, the complete life cycle of discovery, which Universe has always led in ACCELQ. That's been now overlaid with Gen AI with a discovery engine, which is the autonomous aspect that I was introducing. The full stack natural language builder is that GPT I was talking about, which now complements our logic editor. You've always known that we've leveraged technologies like IntelliSense and others to really power that adoption when it comes to our logic building, because it has to complement the live recorder, right? The logic builder then helps you do more real world automation where it can go above and beyond the recording of web, right? So that you can really couple that end-to-end automation. So the full stack GPT natural language builder kind of really powers that. And I'm going to kind of, give you a quick sneak peek into this, right? The design first AI architect, that's probably one of the most exciting things I want to talk about and show you today, which is how can you do all of that staying true to your object-oriented principles, right? The self-healing during execution, it's almost autonomous healing now. It's no longer self-healing, right? Autonomous healing means, if even if everything changes inside out, can it still self-heal, right? And I want to show you some really good live examples on that, right? This is something which was probably unexpected. Again, if you've been a user of ACCELQ, you've always kind of asked for this, and like Xander said, we couldn't be more thankful in your inputs to help us evolve into the platform we are today. But couldn't be happier to also give you a very quick sneak peek into what we are coming up in the dashboard and reporting side. A whole new product line is going to get introduced come 7.0, which is just around the corner, right? So this keynote actually is packing up a lot, not just Gen AI, but I want to give you a sneak peek of what's also coming up in the 7.0 release, right? And then rounding it up with kind of your semantic based reconciliation, which basically really takes that existing self healing to kind of that next level, right? So that's kind of how the autopilot's going to round up the 360 coverage across the life cycle of the platform. And with that, before I get into demo, Xander, if there is a quick word you have, and I know our team's also compiling a list of questions and sending them across. I'm going to take those questions as soon as I cover a couple more things which I want to show you in action. But yeah, if there is anything that we need to cover quickly, or should we keep going on, Xander, Jaws?
Yeah, we're still compiling the list. I say continue on.
All right, awesome. So for the most awaited part, right, which is kind of looking at how it all rounds up, right? And consider this as a very high level introduction to the release. This is a keynote event, and you're gonna get your hands on it, and we're gonna do customer oriented, whether it be proof of concepts or whether it be for existing customers, roadshow events to really have you dive into this. But let me give you a quick sneak peek demo into this. This is the first one where we go into the discovery engine. And as you can see, ACCELQ will actually have a learning hub in there, which is your learning application hub, which can learn your application and actually discover business processes just by looking at wireframes, your Figma wireframes, or your actual URL of the application. And it can not just generate end-to-end scenarios, but it can also generate permutation combinations. I'll give you a couple quick examples of it, right? One was the Southwest Airlines website where it just went on the homepage. All I did was just make it learn the homepage, and it was able to generate and give me a good head start of all the different permutations and combination. In this case, I pointed it to the Salesforce URL, and you can see it's taking a bit of time because I pointed it to the URL with at least 4 or 5 different screens across different objects of my Salesforce application. And it's basically really going through it. It's going through the complete screens, scraping and understanding what are the business objects in its learning. And what Autopilot is doing is generating scenarios which make end-to-end sense, but also permutation combinations of those scenarios, right? Which means it's actually data driving it, right? And it's not just discovering and generating those scenarios, it's also actually creating the automation, which is executable just with the click of that button. So that's kind of what I meant by autonomous automation. It has huge power to kind of help you get a head start in terms of what you should automate, what are your key business processes, as well as help you kind of bring you a solid framework of how to make it data driven, right? So that now you can really expand on that regression automation, and take it to the next level, right? This one is the natural language GPT builder. You can see that within the logic editor, now there is introduction to the GPT prompt, which can pretty much take in anything, right? In this case, all I'm giving it is, hey, can you create a new lead and verify? Which, if you think about it, doesn't kind of mean much. It could be your user story, it could be your acceptance criteria, it could be your manual test case, what have you, right? And you can see it actually goes about generating the complete end-to-end automation. and staying true to what AccelQ's approach is in terms of keeping it executable ready, making sure it's modular, it's reusable, and data driving it, while at the same time, remember how I talked about how GPT is smarter is only by kind of making sure it gets your input and executes it in real time. So this gives you a real time execution where you can see what it generated is indeed in working condition, so that you don't have to spend time troubleshooting, right? So that's kind of the power of the GPT builder. And I know I'm going really fast. Like I said, this is kind of a keynote where we are just kind of introducing this, but we are going to do roadshow event for our customers as well as potential prospects who can actually get their hands on it and basically take it for a test drive, right? This one again, pretty cool. Remember how I talked about the autonomous healing, which is, even if my automation, my business process changes, right? In this case, my business process pretty much changes in terms of the fields changing and so on. And my GPT builder actually prompts me and says, "Hey, you know what? These fields are changed, and it sounds like it may be this based on its generative AI algorithms, large language model. It's picking up those process changes and saying this is what I think it is, and it basically asks you for a confirmation. Yeah, it looks good. Keep going, and it's actually going to update the element interactions, the automation recording, everything in real time. So that's kind of why we call it autonomous healing, which is kind of almost self healing plus plus, right? Again, this one a real life example. One of the most exciting updates. We actually took a 2013 version of a Southwest Airlines website through web archives and created automation on this 2013 version. You can probably see, right? It looks from the 80s because it is a 10-year-old technology now, looks like a 30 or 40-year-old technology, right? And the pages were, if someone has folks have gray hair like I do, this was the age of JSP and static web pages, no dynamic content, no no Angular, Node.js, no dynamic UI, right? And we created automation without using GenAI, just good old kind of automation on this website, executed it, validated it against 2013, took this exact same automation, put it under, used our Copilot version, and now executed the same thing. And this was a real example done pretty much in front of our customer, right? And took this and ran the exact same version in the 2024 version. The page had changed inside out. The business process had changed inside out, and it's still executed completely touchless. So that's kind of the power of autopilot we are talking about. And yeah, I mean, it's we really believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of where we can take this technology. But like Xander said, we're more than looking forward to kind of bringing you all in this journey so that we can really evolve this technology and take it to kind of the exciting place where it's really heading, and it should really massively increase the efficiency of our automation, the way it stands. Yeah, and with that, I'm gonna turn it back to Xander. I know there are a couple quick
Yeah.
questions everyone's
Yeah, we
asking,
got
right?
we got a couple of questions, and of course, with the last minute, we'll just do at least two, right? So I think the first one is, when will Autopilot be released to end users and current customers?
Um, the Yeah, that's of course, after looking at this, everyone wants to figure out when can you get your hands on it, right? So we are going to get into beta in the next couple weeks. If you are a prospect customer who wants to get the trial on, reach out, sign up for a trial. We'll get your hands on it. Right after Thanksgiving, you guys will be able to get your hands on it. For existing customers, we are going to go through a GA release around December timeframe. So you're going to get your tenants upgraded, and whoever signs up for Autopilot, pretty much starting next year, you'll have it shown in your production also. I know there's another question on more on the GPT front. Would it also allow imports related to your manual test to automation? Absolutely. You'll be able to convert your automation from your manual tests, acceptance criteria, user stories, and it won't just import, it would actually rationalize your automation, making sure it's modularized. So it's really taking a shape wherein it would be more real world helpful as opposed to just a gimmick of generating automation. I know there are a ton more questions, but we wanted to keep this short and sweet, and we actually look forward to the 7.0 release event where we'll dive a lot more deeper into the actual solution and how it works and so on.
Perfect. Well, that wraps everything up. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. They will be answered. And again, take a few more seconds here to say on the QR code, the link is going to be in chat. We really appreciate everyone's time today, and we're looking forward to releasing this live across the rest of the year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.